The last file ended with a silence, a distress signal, unanswered. A captain who made the only choice, a choice that failed to end the war before it began. Wars do not wait. This is Year 1 of the Earth-Romulan War. Case designation, Beneath the Raptor's Wing. Date range, July 22, 2155 to July 22, 2156. They are losing. Act 1. The war nobody could win. B-roll. Coalition War Council. 4 species around a table. Starfleet admirals. The room hums. No music. It is July 2155. The coalition of planets has been at war for less than a week. The declaration was formal. The enemy never responded. The Romulans do not negotiate. They do not appear in rooms. They do not send ambassadors. They send ships, and those ships can look like your own. The telecapture device, the weapon that altered everything, remains operational. Every coalition warship in service is a potential weapon against its own crew. Engineers aboard Starfleet vessels understand the vulnerability. New designs will be hardwired, with no remote access pathways for a telecapture signal to latch onto. But designs do not stop bullets, and new ships take time. The ships already in service remain exposed. Every engagement carries a second threat. Not only must commanders ask, can we survive this battle, but also, can we trust our own weapons? The uncertainty corrodes cohesion. It breeds suspicion between bridge officers and engineers, between captains and fleets. It transforms simple maneuvers into calculated gambits. Every gun volley, a test of integrity. Starfleet recalls Enterprise, not to the front lines, but to Earth. The most powerful ship in Starfleet is ordered home to defend the Sol system. The journey takes months. Half the year passes with Enterprise in transit, while the war continues without her. Colonies fall. Supply convoys disappear. Coalition ships vanish, or return firing in the wrong direction. The Romulans are not fighting to win territory. Not yet. They are fighting to exhaust. Their strategy mirrors the one Valdor built before the first official shot. Make the coalition unsustainable, disrupt convoy routes, cut supply lines, isolate outlying colonies. Exhaustion is a weapon. When there is nothing left to defend with, the enemy arrives. Status, confirmed fact, plus reconstructed. The coalition had 4 governments around that table. They had a war council, maps, and the sober calculus of limited resources. They had intelligence, fragments, intercepts, and the chilling proof of telecapture in action. They faced an adversary that could take the shape of friend and ship alike. Their answer was singular and inevitable: war. Reconstructed testimony shows the initial decisions were pragmatic and desperate. Priorities: secure logistics, protect Earth, develop countermeasures. The coalition poured resources into hardened design, into retrofits, into electromagnetic shielding and autonomous failsafes. But logistics is time and steel and fuel, and the Romulans attacked time itself. The human cost is immediate. Colonies starved as supply vessels failed to arrive. Relief convoys never reached besieged outposts. Entire worlds faded from coalition registers, not taken by occupation, but cut off and left to wither. On battlefields, under the cold glare of distant suns, crews watched as their own armaments turned against them. Trust was the casualty that multiplied into every loss. Reconstructed, literary continuation. Commanders learned to fight with suspicion folded into every plan. Decentralized protocols were introduced. Manual overrides, physical keys, scorched circuit safeguards. Crews trained to recognize signs of telecapture, subtle rhythmic hesitations at a gun console, diagnostic blips that betrayed a remote hand. Yet such measures slowed response and compounded exhaustion. Every precaution demanded effort, until fatigue became another vulnerability.
The Romulans did not need to destroy starfleets to win. They only needed to make cohesion costly. Their attacks were surgical and psychological. An enemy that turns friends into foes fractures alliances as effectively as bombs. In those first months, the coalition discovered a truth that would haunt strategy sessions for years. A war fought in the shadow of one's own technology is a war without reliable allies. The coalition's decision to recall its greatest asset, Enterprise, reveals the scale of their fear. To defend Earth was to concede that the front lines were not merely distant systems, but the fabric of trust that connected them.
The flagship's absence accelerated the unraveling of supply chains and command confidence. In transit, months stretched into a void where hope thinned. Conclusion: Year 1. By July 22, 2156, a year of attrition had defined the conflict. The Romulans had not pressed for conquest, they had pressed for collapse. The coalition fought back, inventing and adapting, but each victory bore the shadow of uncertainty. Engineering fixes arrived in pieces, colonies had already been lost. The war's first year closed on a ledger where losses outweighed gains, and every victory cost more than it should have. This is the story of how a weapon that looked beyond holes and uniforms rewrote the rules of war. It is the story of commanders forced to choose between the immediate battle and the long game. Above all, it is a cautionary account. When an enemy can seize the very tools you trust, the conflict becomes as much about identity and belief as it is about firepower. The silence that began the file remains the cruelest signal, unanswered, unresolved, and echoing into the campaigns yet to come.